Good morning.
Will you tell us your name, spell your last name for the court reporter?
Faith Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
Ms. Brown, are you employed?
Yes.
How?
I am an attorney.
And how long have you been practicing?
Not quite 20 years.
Do you have a specialty?
I practice exclusively family law.
And in your practice of family law, is email communications traditionally used on behalf of you and
On a day, yes.
Okay. Do email communications, are they employed in correspondence with the various courts that you have matters pending in?
Yes.
Is the exchange directly judge or representative?
Representative.
And their title is what?
Judicial assistant, or JA.
And these emails, Ms. Brown, are they ordinarily sent and received in the normal course of business for your firm?
Yes.
And are they kept under your care and custody?
Yes.
Are the emails preserved at or about the time that they are either received or sent?
Yes.
I'm going to pass to you, Ms. Brown, now, Your Honor.
Yes, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask you what I marked as Defendant's Exhibit 6 and ask you if you would take a moment and review that. Just give me a moment, I'm going to show it to the prosecutor. While they're reviewing that, in September of 2020, were you representing Ashley Benefield?
I was.
In
Yes, I was.
And what case do the contents of Defendant's Exhibit 6 represent?
This was in reference to the petition for injunction for protection against domestic violence that I filed on behalf of Ashley Benefield and her daughter, Emerson Canny.
All right. Are those emails an accurate, true and accurate reproduction of the emails that you sent and received on that day, or those days?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, I move at this time to introduce that as Defendant's Exhibit number 6 into evidence.
Any objection? No. Received.
Thank you. That is a string of emails that covers a range of dates.
Yes, it is.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ms. Brown, what date the first email starts on?
Sure. The first date was September 17th of 2020.
And when is the last email?
The last email is when I forwarded the email to my client, Ashley Benefield, on September 23rd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. But are you referencing the last email between the three of us in the email?
My next question indeed is, would you be kind enough to tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who were the participants in this string of emails?
The participants in the stream of emails was Vicki Mechanic, who was the judicial assistant to Judge Diana Moreland, who was the judge presiding over this matter, Stephanie Murphy, who was representing Douglas Benefield, and myself.
And it's normal and customary, is it not, to the extent Ms. Murphy representing the adverse party, that you would share all correspondence with between you and the judicial assistant?
Yes, it was a requirement.
Okay. Do you recall, having reviewed the email, was there a particular issue in play?
Yes.
What was it?
We were trying to, initially, we were trying to stipulate to the release of Dr. Brad Broder's report.
And were you attempting to secure a date to do that?
Yes, we were. Well, eventually.
Okay. So I have some very specific questions for you. First, would you tell us whether or not, based on that correspondence, Dr. Broder's report was set for release on September 30th, 2020?
It was not.
In fact, based on those emails between you, Stephanie Murphy, and Judge Moreland's JA, was there even a date that existed at that time for the release of Dr. Broder's report?
There was not.
If somebody testified that the release of Dr. Broder's report was set for September 30th, that'd be accurate.
Oh, sustained.
Would you take a moment, if you don't mind, and read the emails?
Sure. Did you want me to read them out loud or to myself?
Yes, read them out loud and start with the string in chronological order. It covers a 6-day period, 17th to the 23rd.
The 17th to the 23rd, yes. The first email was on September 17th of 2020. It was a Thursday from Attorney Stephanie Murphy to Family Division 4, which was the judicial assistant's email address. I was on it, as well as my paralegal's email address, Sarah Hawk at myflfamilies.com, and Dr. Brad Roeder. It states, "Good afternoon, Vicki. I hope you are doing well and have had a good week. Please see the attached joint motion for release of psychological evaluation and report and correspondence regarding same with regard to the above referenced case. Thank you, Stephanie." Shortly thereafter, same day, the judicial assistant responded, "Thank you. Can one of you kindly prepare a proposed order in case the judge wishes to grant your motion?" About 30 minutes later, Ms. Murphy responded, "Thank you, Vicki. I will work on that right now and send it to Ms. Brown for her approval." The next morning, Friday, 8 p.m., we received a response from the judicial assistant, marked importance high, that stated, "Good morning, Ms. Murphy and Ms. Brown. Per the judge, she will not sign an ex parte order for release of psychological evaluation and report. The judge will allow an expedited hearing on this motion. I have available Wednesday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. for 30 minutes. However, besides both attorneys being present, the judge has stated that Dr. Broder and Manatee Children's Services must be present at the hearing as well, and must be present at the hearing as well is underlined. Further, Ms. Murphy, the judge stated that absent showing where the court granted permission for the other motions stated in your September 17th letter to her, the only, and only is underlined, matter being heard on September 30th day is the injunction hearing." And then the next sentence underlined, "Please advise whether Wednesday, September 23rd will work for all parties. Thank you, Vicki Mechanic, Judicial Assistant to Judge Moreland." A few minutes later, Attorney Murphy responded with an email that said, "Thank you so much for all of this information, Vicki. I admit that I did not go back to check what is scheduled for that hearing, so please accept my apology. In my mind, these cases have always overlapped so much that I just took it for granted that the upcoming is just the DVI. I am available for that hearing. I will contact Dr. Broder, and we are trying to track down the correct attorney who represents Manatee County. This represents Sarasota only." The next email was actually assistant at the admin email address, my calendar, September 18th a.m., where she stated, "Ms. Brown is available at 9 a.m. However, she has mediation starting at 9:30. The next email was about 2 minutes later from the JA, stating, if this goes forward on the 23rd, it shall be via Zoom." Then at 2:09 p.m., Attorney Murphy emailed, "Good afternoon, Vicki. Ms. Brown and I are both available next Wednesday at 9 a.m. on Zoom. Dr. Broder is not available as he is out of town on an anniversary vacation with his wife. I have calls into 3 different people from, Manatee Children's Legal Services, including the DCF regional headquarters, to find out who needs to be included from the organization in the hearing. We have been directed and redirected to the wrong people several times. Can we go ahead and set the hearing?" The next email was about 15 minutes later from the JA, stating, "Good afternoon. No, per my email this morning, the judge stated that Dr. Broder must be present at the hearing. Vicki." So that was Friday, the 18th. The next email was Tuesday, September 22nd at 2:20 from Stephanie Murphy, where she wrote, "Good afternoon, Vicki. Dr. Broder never got back to me regarding whether he could appear at the hearing even by audio only while he is on vacation, so I wanted to let you know that per your prior emails, we cannot have the hearing tomorrow morning. When Dr. Broder did speak with Attorney Faith Brown on Friday, he told her that returning Wednesday night. Is there any chance that Judge Moreland could schedule the hearing for Thursday? We will be in mediation in this case, but we can take a break to do the Zoom hearing."
What is the JA, Ms. Mechanic's response to that request?
Unfortunately, no. The judge has a full docket on Thursday, and even if she didn't, Manatee Children's Services would need to be present as well.
All right.
That was Tuesday, September 22nd. So then on Wednesday, September 23rd at 1:02 p.m., Ms. Murphy Attorney Murphy wrote, "Good afternoon, Vicky. I've spoken with Attorney Kimberly Griffin, who represents CPS, and who confirmed that she is the attorney who will need to be present for the hearing per Judge Moreland's instructions. Now that we know who the hearing needs to be coordinated with and Dr. Broder is returning tonight, can you please forward additional hearing dates and times for this matter?" To which the judicial assistant responded about 30 minutes later, 35 minutes, or excuse me, 25 minutes later. "Unfortunately, there is no availability before the injunction date of the 30th.
All right. Was there anything unclear about the fact that the only thing being heard on September 30th, 2020 was the injunction?
No,
Was there any chance, under any circumstances, Dr. Broder's report was going to be released on September 30th, 2020?
no.
I don't believe I have anything further, Your Honor.
Cross.
Yes. I just went through these emails along with you, and you say it's very clear that the release of it was not going to be heard on the 30th. In reading this, it's hard to get that because the last email says, unfortunately, there's no availability before the injunction date of the 30th. But it all means if the attorney got the doctor and the appropriate people present, that it maybe could be heard on that date, correct?
No,
Okay, so it was your understanding it was not going to happen?
correct.
All right. What was your understanding of what was going to happen on that date, on the 30th?
The injunction for protection against domestic violence hearing was going to be held that afternoon.
Okay, so you were going to call witnesses, you were prepared to call witnesses?
Yes,
Okay, and have a full hearing on Ashley Benefield's motion to get an injunction against Doug Benefield? What?
I'll overrule.
I didn't.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So the hearing on 9/30 was, in your opinion, only to hear the motion to get an injunction that was filed by Ashley Benefield against Doug Benefield, and that was the only thing to be heard on that date?
Correct.
Okay. And through that previously, you had agreed to drop that injunction?
It's the same.
No further questions.
Read it.
That's all, just a request to publish the email.
Absolutely. By passing. Can this witness be released?
Yes.
And can the witness be released?
Yes, Judge.
Ma'am, you're releasing your subpoena. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Taylor, your next witness.
Yes, sir. The defense calls Ashley Benefield.
As you've heard me tell other witnesses, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left to right. And if you speak in a loud, clear voice, the electronics will pick up everything.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Good morning. Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name, please?
Ashley Christina Benefield, Benefield.
How are you feeling this morning, Ashley?
Nervous.
All right. Try best you can, relax, and we'll get through this.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit, Ashley, about where you were born and raised.
I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland.
What type of family values were instilled in you?
Objection, relevant.
Overruled.
I believe in the importance of kindness and compassion, and hard work, accountability.
What type of work did your father do?
My
Objection, relevant.
I'll allow it.
my dad was a Naval Academy graduate who was a Navy pilot, and then started flying privately for the airlines, which is what he still does.
And how about your mom?
When I was born, my parents decided that my mom would stay home to take care of me full time since my dad traveled so much.
I want to ask you a few questions about your childhood. Did you have any siblings?
I grew up an only child.
Were your parents active in your development as a child?
Yes, they were very active in my schooling and supportive of my pursuit of the arts.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. We need some headsets.
Sorry.
How many? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I misunderstood. All right, Ms. Benefield, yeah, if you could scoot a little bit closer and speak up so the jury can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do the best
I
you
apologize.
can.
Go ahead, sir.
Sure, do the best you can, Ashley.
Okay.
Do you have any hobbies?
I love art. I like drawing, painting, sculpting, ballet. I enjoy gardening, baking, cooking. Most importantly, I'm a mom.
What high school did you attend?
I'm going to sustain at this point.
I'm trying to establish her ballet, Your Honor.
All right. If it's related to something specific, then yes.
Sir. Thank you. Tell us about your high school, Ashley.
I went to a small private Christian school.
And did you study anything in particular in high school?
I was focused on pursuing ballet.
And was ballet a large part of your curriculum when you were in high school?
Yes, I danced full time. I actually finished my last few credits my senior year with a homeschool program for athletes, so I could dance during the day.
Do you still dance professionally?
No.
Why not?
I retired after I tore my hamstring.
I want to ask you about Doug. When did the two of you meet?
We met August 25th of 2016.
And tell us what your impression of him was when you met.
He was very confident in who he was, passionate about what he was doing for work. He was fascinating to talk to.
What was it, if you recall in particular, that attracted him, Ashley?
He was funny, very smart, charming. We just instantly clicked.
Was Doug in the military?
Yes, just like my dad, he was in naval aviation.
Did he turn out to be who you thought he was?
No, not at all.
I want to direct your attention, Ashley, now, if I can, to the day of the homicide, September 27, 2020.
Okay.
Specifically, late in the afternoon. Would you tell us why Doug was at your home?
He came over to help load some of the larger items that my mom and I had kind of pre-staged in the garage into the U-Haul truck.
And were there any discussions between the two of you about the order that these things should be placed in the back of the truck?
Yes, we had discussed that my things would be going in last, right at the front, so they would be easy to get out first. At one point, he had me help him load one of the larger pieces into the back of the U-Haul truck, and when I was up in the truck with him, I realized that everything had been all like mixed together, and it was no longer separated. And I pointed that out to him, and he got really offended and upset. He said, "It shouldn't be your stuff, your house, my house."
Was there a particular demand he made at that time?
He said I needed to start acting like a wife.
Tell us, at that point, how you chose to deal with him.
I tried to change the subject. I could see how upset he was getting. So I wanted to kind of alleviate that.
And how was Doug reacting to your efforts to do that?
He was getting more upset and aggressive and threatening.
Do you attempt to avoid confrontation with him?
Yes.
What do you do?
I was trying to get him to leave. I kept suggesting that maybe we should be done, saying I was tired. We should just wrap it up for the day.
And what was Doug's reaction to that effort?
He heard me, but he completely disregarded what I was saying.
Ashley, would you tell us if there came a time shortly thereafter where there was physical contact between the two of you?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We were in the living room, and as he came up to me, instead of walking past me, he walked like right into me, like a body check. He like bumped me.
His shoulder to your shoulder?
Yes.
And describe for us, if you can, the force of the bump.
It caught me off guard. I almost fell. I like stumbled.
How was he acting at that point?
He was clearly hostile. He was mumbling under his breath and was glaring at me.
What was your concern?
I could see that it was escalating, and I didn't want him to blow up at me.
Was there a second instance of physical contact?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
We were in the garage, and it was very much like the living room. I had just suggested strongly that I wanted to be done for the day, and he, as he came up to me, he walked right into me. Again, body checked me.
Finally, was there a third instance of contact?
Yes.
What happened?
We were in the hallway, and we were coming opposite directions towards each other, and he had a box. And as he walked up to me, he looked me in the eye, and he drove the corner of the box up into me.
Where?
My side.
Indicating on your right side.
Yes, sir.
In the hip area?
Yes, sir.
What was the result of that?
Scratching, it burned.
Yes, sir.
Ashley, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as defense exhibit numbers 8, 9, and 10. Approach.
Yeah, just do me a favor, whenever you're holding them up, they were facing the jury until they're admitted.
Sorry.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. 8, 9, and 10.
Yes, sir. Will you tell us what Exhibit 8 represents, Ashley?
It's a scratch right here.
And was that scratch caused by the cardboard box that you just related?
Yes, sir.
When was that photograph taken?
The night of September 27th, 2020, at the sheriff's office.
Okay, and how about Exhibit number 9?
Also scratches on my side.
From the same incident?
Yes, sir.
Also taken that evening at the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Exhibit 10?
The same scratches as in 9. They're just, it's a close-up.
Do these photographs actually truly and accurately reflect the scratches and bruises you received on late that afternoon on September 27, 2020?
Yes.
Do they accurately reflect how the scratches looked when they were fresh?
Yes.
Thank you. I move respectfully, Your Honor, Defense Exhibits 8, 9, and 10 into evidence.
Any objection? No. They'll be received.
What was your response, Ashley, after being struck by the cardboard box?
I apologized
Why would you have apologized?
because I could see how upset he was, and I didn't want him to get more mad at me.
Doug go after that incident?
He continued to the garage with the box.
And what happens at that point?
We started getting into a back and forth about being done for the day and what still needed to be packed and that I wanted to be done. And we ended up in our daughter's bedroom, and he started screaming at me. He said, "Shut the fuck up." He started calling me names. And he said, "I can see what you're doing. You're trying to get me to leave." He said, "I don't have to leave. I can stay and spend the night if I want to because I'm your husband."
At that point, Ashley, how did you feel with respect to your own personal safety?
I was scared.
Did you take any steps to try to avoid anything further?
Yes, I ran to try to leave the house
And where did you run to?
to the front door.
Did you make it?
No,
Tell us what happened.
he stopped me. He grabbed me by the hand and he yanked me back. I'm not really sure how he did it, but he spun around so he was in front of me, between me and the door.
So,
He said,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
"Where the fuck do you think you're going?"
What was your response? Do you specifically recall? Tell us.
I just blurted it out. I said, "I'm done and you need to leave now."
What was Doug's reaction to that command to leave now?
He said, "You can't fucking leave me."
Then what happens?
He hit me on the side of the head.
Actually, I'm going to it's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 7. Tell us what that represents.
It's a picture of my face.
Is it an accurate picture of what your face looked like on that night?
Yes, sir.
Who took that photograph?
I don't remember her name. She was at the sheriff's office.
At the sheriff's office? Okay. Now, what is it about that photograph that shows or reflects the slap or the hit that you got to the side of your head by Doug?
That side of my face is swollen and puffy and discolored around my eye.
And is your eyelid drooping
Yes,
on the side where you were hit?
yes.
Your Honor, I move defense exhibit number 7 into evidence.
Received.
What was different at that moment, Ashley, than at any time in your prior relationship with Doug?
He had never actually hit me before.
What did you do?
I ran
Where?
to my room
Why?
because I was scared.
Ashley, did you have anything in your room that could protect you?
I had my gun.
Did you grab the gun?
Yes.
As you're grabbing the gun, what, if anything, did you hear?
I heard the door hitting the doorstop.
As if it is open?
Yes.
And what do you see, Ashley, when you look up?
Doug was standing in the doorway. His face was red. Like the veins were bulging in his neck. The way he was looking at me, it didn't even look like Doug. His eyes were...
Did he yell anything at you?
He said, "You're fucking done."
And what does he do at that point?
I held the gun in front of me and I said, "Stop." And he turned and he got into this it was like a fighting stance.
he like I got low and he started like moving his arms and his hands around. And he was making these like jerking motions.
What were you expecting when you were holding the gun out in front of you and you told him to stop?
I thought when he saw it he would leave.
Did he?
No.
At that point, Ashley, what are you thinking?
I thought he was gonna kill me.
Tell us what happens next.
He started coming towards me, and then he lunged at me, and I started pulling the trigger. And he just kept coming, and I remember trying to move to get away from him, but he kept coming at me.
Ashley, would you tell us why, if you're holding a loaded firearm, you were attempting to move away?
I was trying to get away from him, I was terrified.
All right, so you're firing. He keeps advancing. What happens next?
It was like his feet slipped out from under him, and his legs went up in the air.
When Doug hits the floor, what's your immediate reaction?
I ran to get help.
Can you tell us how many shots you fired?
I have no idea. I was in a panic.
Do you remember anything about the shooting beyond what you've told us here?
It was a blur.
Where did you run for help, Ashley?
To my neighbor's house.
What's your neighbor's name?
John Sant.
Ashley, I have to ask you a couple of very difficult questions. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Ashley, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you shot Doug.
I was scared to death. I thought he was gonna kill me. There was nowhere to go. I was trapped. In my own house, he wouldn't let me leave.
As you sit here today, Ashley, how do you feel about what happened?
Horrible. He's my child. Somebody had to explain it all to her.
Judge, I wonder, could we have a minute? Maybe a brief recess to have her compose herself.
All right. Members of the jury, if you could step out for a couple of minutes, we'll bring you right back. Just leave your notes where they are. Put them face down. Please don't begin your deliberations. You can use your phones, but don't talk with anybody outside the jury about the case. Don't do any research on the people, places, things we're going to talk anything about. Thank you. All right, y'all can have a seat. Ms. Benefield, you can have a seat. You take a moment to compose yourself.
Yeah, would it be all right if she stepped out?
No, sir.
May I approach her? With no conversation?
As long as you don't say anything. Yeah.
Not say a word.
Yes.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ma'am, there's Kleenexes here next to your windows.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
All right, Judge, I think you can bring him back in.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the jury. Yes, sir. Good facility, so we'll wait a minute. All right, let's bring him in. Bless you. All right, it'll be a couple of more minutes till the jurors are finished with their break. Let's 9:56. Let's say at 10:05 we'll reconvene. Ms. Benefield, I'm going to allow you to leave the stand. However, you are in the middle of your testimony. You may not communicate with anyone at all during your testimony. Do you understand? So you can step down and use the facilities, that's just fine, but you cannot communicate even with your attorney while you're testifying, all right? Okay, you can step out and do so. So we'll be in about 10:05 or so. It's all back. They're ready to go?
Ready?
Come on back. Ready?
Yep.
Stay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring him in. All right, you all can have a seat. Welcome back, everybody. Did anybody begin deliberation to talk about the case amongst yourselves? Did anybody communicate with anybody outside the jury about the case? Or did anybody do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics or anything about?
No, sir.
Everybody says no. Taylor, you can resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge White. Ashley, would you tell us where the pistol was in your bedroom?
It was in a storage bin. It was on top of my laundry basket.
Will you describe the storage bin?
It was like a square bin with hard sides and cloth covering the sides.
Do you remember how old Emerson, your child, was at the time of this incident?
About 2.
Was Emerson able to access that storage bin?
No.
Whose firearm was it?
Mine.
Did you have a license?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you, Ashley, what's previously been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 2. And Your Honor, I'd like to, if I could, put that up on the screen. Could we?
Are you from the Elmo?
For the blinds?
Oh, sure. And one more set of lights.
Thank you, Deputy. Ashley, take a look at the picture on your concealed firearm license. And in particular, are we able to zoom in on the portrait, the picture? Yeah. Ashley, do your eyelids look the same in that picture?
Yes, sir.
Do they look different in the picture that we admitted after you were slapped?
Yes, sir.
Let's put the, let me see now. Let's put defendant's exhibit number 7 up on the screen. Ashley, what side of your face did he hit you on?
The left side.
The left
Left side.
And as we're looking at this picture, it would be to the right?
Correct.
Is your eyelid on the right side the same as your eyelid on the left side?
No, sir.
And how about your eyebrow? The space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the right side the same as the space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the other side?
No, sir.
Thank you, Judge. I think we can lift the blinds. Was the firearm registered to you, Ashley?
Yes.
Right, I'd like to now direct your attention back to your initial introduction to Doug. How long was it before Doug expressed his devotion to you?
It was about 4 days after we met that he told me he loved me.
Did any significant event follow after he expressed his love for you?
He flew me to South Carolina, where he was living at the time, and asked me to marry him, and I said yes.
You remember the date?
September 7th, 2016.
How old was he at the time on September 7th, 2016?
54,
And how old were you?
24.
When you finally moved in together, what was it like?
It was challenging. Doug hadn't told his daughter Eva that we had gotten married, and so when she found out, she was really upset. Just understandable. Her mom had suddenly passed like 8 or 9 months before, and I was a complete stranger to her, and I'm moving into her house.
At that point in your relationship, Ashley, describe for us the man you thought you'd married.
He was very loving and attentive. He was always with me. We did everything together. We laughed a lot. And he made me feel very special and loved. He always was looking for ways to be with me and to do things for me.
Was there a short time after that you were separated?
Oh, yes, sir.
And what was the reason?
Before I had planned a trip, and so I went on my trip. It was a cruise with my mom and one of my girlfriends.
Were you able to communicate with Doug while you were on the cruise?
Yes, sir.
How?
We mostly messaged each other.
I'm going to pass to you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 3, I believe, for identification.
Yes, sir.
Take a minute and go through those, and I'm going to ask you about them.
Okay. Do you want me to read all of them, or? Yeah,
I'll go
okay.
through all of them. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about it.
Okay.
Are those text messages actually a true and accurate copy of the messages you received from Doug Bennett?
Yes.
At this time, I would move defense exhibit number 3 into evidence.
Objection?
Introduce defense exhibit number 3.
Any additional objections?
Oh, I'm sorry, not other than what we discussed.
Admitted, subject to what we discussed at the bench.
Ashley, in this exhibit number 3, who's represented in blue and who's represented in green?
May I take a look again? I'm blue and Doug is green.
You're blue and Doug is green.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask what you thought and how you felt after this text message where he said to you, then respond. Like always being armed. And understanding them and how to conduct warfare in them for the kingdom. If I dwelt on it, I would go into a rage to remove them from the earth. I desire to exterminate them, and holding back is a challenge. They are rats that should be removed. Last night, just the jerks arguing near you about put me in sheer murderous mood, but I was stuck. I couldn't defend you. But could have been a fight, etc. Only you being with me will over time remove the images in my head. It is same, and knowing you were taken advantage of still in my mind makes me explode with anger to take them out. God made you for me. You haven't seen the war side and never want to. We went from joy and passion to now I'm in a testosterone rage inside. But kill the bad people. How long had you been married when you received these texts from Doug?
I believe it was about like a month or so. Probably thereabouts.
Do you recall approximately how long you had been married?
Well, we got married in the beginning of September, and this would have been the end of November.
Okay.
So more than that, I'm sorry.
What did you think? Was there anything about those texts that caused you to pause?
You know, at the time, I kind of tried to write it off that it was my new husband and he was just trying to be like manly and, you know, like, be protective and, you know, was trying to show that he really loved me. I think that was kind of what I
Did you
thought
think
at
it
the
was
time.
flattering?
Yeah.
Ashley, how long did this facade that you've described of Doug's last?
Probably about 3 months.
And what signs that he was not who you thought he was?
Oh, when I got back from the cruise, he's very, like, controlling and possessive. He started criticizing everything about me, like the way I would wear my hair, or did my makeup, or the way I dressed. I found something about me to make him happy.
Did you pinpoint a specific incident, Ashley, early on that stands out to you? What would that be?
A friend of his had come to visit. We went out to dinner with him, and when we went to leave, Doug had had a little too much to drink, and so I said that I would drive home. And he instantly got really mad at me. He was offended. He started screaming at me, and it continued all the way home. And when we got inside, I told him that he was drunk and he just needed to go to bed. And that really set him off. And he tried to flip over the dining room table. He threw a chair at me. He kept screaming at me until he stopped, and then he apologized. And he said it would never happen again. He said he was really sorry.
And Ashley, did it happen again?
Yes.
Explain what happened.
We had gone to church one Sunday, and after service, after everyone was leaving, we talked to the pastor in like the lobby area in front. And at one point, Doug stormed off, and by the time I caught up with him, I was in the parking lot, and he started cussing at me, calling me names. And when we got in the truck, he accused me of having a thing for the pastor, and he said I was a slut and a whore. And he screamed at me all the way home.
Ashley, was he aggressive and threatening like that in other instances?
It started happening more and more with me and with our animals. He would hurt our pets.
On approximately how many occasions was he cruel to your pets?
A handful.
How would Doug react following a dark episode?
Well, he was either really up or really down. And after, he'd be very sick, and he'd be kind, and things would be good. And it was kind of like a flip of a switch, and something would set him off again.
Anything one day, Ashley, that gave you insight into Doug's marriage to his previous wife, Renee?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it was.
I had been kind of cleaning and organizing, and I was going through a bunch of old devices, and I found a texting conversation between Doug and Renee, his previous wife.
Let me pass to you, Ashley, what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 11. Can you identify that, Ashley?
This is part of the texting conversation. This is a text from Renee Benefield to Doug.
Is that a true and accurate copy of what you came across that day that you just related to us?
Yes, sir.
At this point, I'd like to move that into evidence as Defense Exhibit number 11.
Received.
I'm going to read you. Let me know if it's accurate.
Okay.
I was deeply disappointed that you distorted the truth about who you really were when I married you. I loved you, though finding out you weren't really what you pretended to be. You kicking me so hard on New Year's Eve on our honeymoon because you were having functioning in certain areas. You hold a gun to your head twice in my home that I opened to you with my children that still love you. Having to sell everything down to my wedding ring. Finding out you were on Viagra, which all of you had to do was tell me, you know I wouldn't care. Trying to film us making love on our honeymoon. Finding out that you wore eye pencil on and on. I loved you so much I didn't care. That's why I was shocked to think you would take pictures of me without asking. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Tell us, Ashley, how Doug would act when he would go off.
He would call it a fit of rage. Sometimes it was as simple as him just yelling and screaming at me or cussing at me, calling me names. Other times he would throw things or break things or smash things. He would come at me like he was going to hit me. He told me I was lucky that he punched walls instead of me.
Are there any incidences in particular, Ashley, that stand out to you?
Yes.
Oh,
We were having an argument, and he came at me like he was going to hit me. And our dog, Sully, jumped up in between us. He was so hard to knock. I just remember screaming because I thought he had killed him.
were there other times that Doug hurt the animals?
Yes, he had hit, kicked, punched Sully. He threw our cat. Sometime he threw Snuffy down the stairs.
What kind of impact did this behavior have on you?
I was always walking on eggshells, trying to do the right things. Because if I said the wrong thing, he would get mad at me. And so I always tried to do it right. If I wore the wrong thing, he would call me a whore or a slut. I feel like I couldn't do anything right.
Was there an incident, Ashley, in June of 2017 that you vividly recall?
Yes.
Please explain it.
We were having an argument, and it started getting really out of hand. He pulled a gun out, and he was like waving it around. And then he threw it at me, and it hit the wall behind me, and punched a hole in the wall. And I went to run to try. He pulled the gun out and held it to his head. He said that he's got fucking brains out, and I was gonna have to watch him. And he pulled the trigger, and he shot a hole in the ceiling in the kitchen.
Ashley, at that point, what were you thinking of marriage?
He wasn't anything like I thought he was.